Welcome to the Million Dollar Multi-Op Podcast. Here, you're going to find education, entertainment, and a little inspiration on how to get to the next level. Are you a DJ company owner that's looking for the secret sauce? Congrats, you found it.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Million Dollar Multi-Op Podcast. I'm your host, David Osborne with BlueprintLearn.com. And today on the podcast, my good friend, Chad Blackburn from Southern California. Welcome, Chad.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, Chad is a really unique guest to have on the podcast because when we think about multi-ops and we think about growing a multi-op, I'm going to speak for you, and I'm just going to put words in your mouth and in your head that I at least speak for myself here, that I think about event DJs. I think about wedding DJs, bar mitzvah DJs, and Chad made a splash in the SoCal market as a multi-op owner of a karaoke company, and that is really cool and actually blew my mind when I learned about that. So let's start there. Chad, talk about Almost Famous.
All right. Well, that's one of my favorite things to talk about. Almost Famous Entertainment came together about, we just celebrated our 14-year anniversary. So about 14 years ago is when we really kind of got the ball rolling. And we started out as a karaoke company that just, I moved to San Diego. I was in a new city. I had some previous karaoke skills just from working for somebody else in a town that I lived before San Diego, and just kind of decided to roll with it and see what I can turn it into, and pounded the pavement with my karaoke books and just kind of went bar to bar asking if I can provide karaoke services, and found a few that were willing to roll the dice with me, and kind of just developed into what it is today, which, went from karaoke to, hey, can you DJ on the weekends, and taught myself how to DJ, into, hey, we love you as a DJ, but we also want karaoke at this other spot on the weekends. How do we get you to DJ for us and then karaoke at this other bar across the street? And that's when I hired my first employee and just kind of kept going from there. And here we are, 14, 15 years later, still rolling, and, added stuff on along the way with trivia and photo booths and DJ services. And now Almost Famous is what it is today. And it's just a multi-functioning entertainment brand that just keeps growing.
That's killer. And maybe you could use the word conglomerate, because you guys are in so many different things now. And something that you said that I loved, and I don't think this gets talked about enough. You got your start going door to door in San Diego. Hey, would you take a chance on me? Hey, do you want karaoke? And so many people, you look at the Facebook groups, you look at there, oh, how do I get gigs? How do I get gigs? You're like, well, you got to get out there. You got to get out there and ask. You got to put yourself out there. You do some work, and there's no replacing that hard work.
None at all. I mean, I never considered myself a salesman, but, again, you just kind of figure it out along the way. It's, you find something you're good at and you offer those services and get your foot in the door, and it just all kind of happens, you get the ball rolling, but you definitely have to put yourself out there. And, there's many times where I sat at the bar with my karaoke books and the bartender looks like, oh crap, what does this guy want to sell us today? And just, I felt slimy, but at the same time, you're just like, this is my hustle.
It is your hustle. It is definitely your hustle. I remember the first time I saw you do what you do. I think it was DJ Collective. There was a year that you did like an after party, right?
2019 in Scottsdale.
Yeah. And I remember popping in being like, karaoke. Okay. To be fair, I love karaoke. So no shade thrown at karaoke, but I was like, okay, DJ conference, karaoke. I don't know. I popped into that speakeasy, and what I remember so well was I felt the same way about your karaoke shows as I did about beat mixing before I knew how beat mixing worked. When I would hear someone just crush a mix and I'd be like, that's magic. That is just straight magic. How do you do that? Now, of course, I know how it works, but you were doing like music videos and music video mashups, and you were singing and engaging the crowd. And there's just this flow. There was like no downtime.
Exactly. I mean, that I think that's how I got my start in the DJing world also is I always took that combination, of just back then I didn't know what a DJ did, honestly. Like I didn't consider myself a DJ, but I loved the flow with karaoke. I just did not believe in that dead air. I hated it. Like when I would go to a karaoke show and there would be a host and they would call somebody up and then like everybody just kind of looking at each other. Are you Roger? Are you Roger? Like, okay. Oh, look, there's somebody walking up there. It's quiet. You could hear a pin drop. I never liked it. It was awkward. Like I just wanted to keep that flow going. So when I started the karaoke company, I was given a handful of music videos, and the guy had told me, yeah, if you ever get in a pinch or you need something, just throw one of these music videos on and people will like it, and it's like, all right. So I use that as a hybrid, in between karaoke. I just segued right into a music video, and then right from a music video right into karaoke. And it was just, I noticed the energy in the room stayed up, people stayed longer, they were dancing, they were singing. It was just a great combination, and that's kind of what I built my business model around.
And it's electric. It's correct me if I'm wrong. You use like a concert like energy vibe. Isn't that the word you use?
Totally. Yeah. Especially with the right bar, the right atmosphere, that definitely is a great way to explain it.
If you're not already following Chad on Instagram, and we'll talk at the end how to follow you, but if you're not already following him, you can see what I'm talking about, because we talk about this a lot. Like you don't know how to emulate great unless you know what great is. When I was in music school, we talk about all the time to have a good sound on an instrument or how to have a good vocal performance. You have to have an idea of what that sounds like to emulate. And if you've never been to a karaoke show that's high energy and feels like a concert, you don't know how to emulate that. You might think that all the bars in your town or the karaoke that you're performing is good enough, when in reality it could be 50 times better if you've ever seen the way Chad does it. So I would encourage you to follow Chad on social media to get a little window into what that looks like, because it's different. It's cut different.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I try to get my hosts as well, like shoot some video while you guys are doing this. And whenever I'm at my shows, you can guarantee, that you're going to see different angles, different views of what we do and how we do it.
Totally. And you've got, speaking of your hosts, I think every DJ, the core skill of being a great DJ is musical programming. All right, that you cannot be a great DJ without great programming. And I'll even argue that as great as I think beat mixing is and creative mixing is, it still doesn't hold a candle to programming. Programming is king. So that's of course a skill. But as a karaoke host, you've got to have at least in the style that you are building a brand, you have to have a great personality. Because I've seen a lot of karaoke hosts that don't have great personalities, and I think that's maybe the norm. So, kind of talk to me about when you're finding someone for your almost famous brand. What characteristics are you looking for before you start any training?
Yeah, so when we jump on our interview process, a lot of times, these questions have already been asked in the pre-screening, but we'll definitely be looking for somebody that's outgoing, energetic, smiling, happy. We just did a hiring process not too long ago, like 2 weeks ago. We brought on two new people, and unfortunately, one of them has not made it to the next step, but the other one has. And the one that I thought would make it, for sure, was the one that didn't make it. And sometimes it's hard to tell, but we had a few during that process that's just one girl sitting there just yeah, no, I think I would, yeah, I like people. And it's just, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the one that's smiling, that's, oh my gosh, I love that, that's so exciting, like I want to do that. Like, you just that passion, you can see it. Sometimes you could just pick it up right off the bat. You just see that person, they smile, they welcome you into the as soon as they pop into the meeting and you welcome them, they're very welcoming back. And that's what we look for.
Do you find that you recruit better in person? Like you're doing a karaoke show, you see someone that's got a great karaoke performance. Do you recruit them? Do you pull them up and say you would be great at this, or is it more of like a, hey, we put ads out and then we filter through it that way?
I used to do it that way. Unfortunately, this is kind of the drawback of growing so big. It's a double edged sword. I love the what we've become, but I've also not in it as much as I used to be. Being the owner, now I wear a lot of different hats. I've always worn those hats, but those hats have gotten, you know, um, have multiplied, and
Yeah, yeah.
so you have to put more time into. I don't host as much as I used to. Hosting, I used to do 6 nights a week, and I would see talent all the time. A lot of my original employees, they all came from people that I saw at our shows and was like, I think you'd be a rock star, and brought them on. And some of them are still with us today, but not having myself out there in that crowd 6 nights a week, 5, 4, 3. Now I'm just the fill-in guy. So like, if it's sometimes I go to host a show and they think I'm the new guy. Like that's where we've gotten to, and I love it, but I also sometimes miss it. I miss those opportunities to find greatness out there. But I'm confident. I have my manager in San Diego. She's very good at feeling out talent. So she'll message me every once in a while and be like, "Hey, the so and so has been coming to our show a lot. She wants to host for us," and then we definitely have found a few gyms that way.
That's great that you found people that can do that for you. And I totally know the struggle of what you're talking about. Like the less that you're out there, the less you're able to use your intuition to pick up on those new people. Because I would imagine, with a karaoke host specifically, maybe not for an event DJ, it's almost like a different thing, but it's so personality driven that when someone can get on a stage and just sing confidently, even no matter if they're good or not, doesn't even matter, but they're confident on stage, it's almost like, check, all right, interview time, because that skill is so hard to find. And you don't want a karaoke host on the Almost Famous team who's like, I'm not singing. You're like, well, I
Yeah.
mean, come on, right? You got to have people who are going to get out there and do it, because that's how you affect the energy.
Everybody that's on our team pretty much wants to sing. It's more of like we also have to, when we hire, we have to make sure we're not hiring that person that's going to be, a mic hog, or a diva. Like you gotta, there's a fine line between, okay, you love this, and okay, you love this. Like,
Yeah.
so again, speaking about my manager in San Diego, Veronica, she had some health problems a few years ago, and she was, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much of an amazing voice this girl had and still has in her. But she went under she was in the hospital where she had to have be intubated and for a few months, and so that really messed with her vocals. And she's been training to come back to where she was, and you just can't keep her off the microphone. She loves it. It's her passion. She loves to sing, and she's very good at it, and she's been able to adjust her song selections to fit her vocals now. And it's amazing to see how far she's come and the passion that's there. And she's amazing, and that's something that you just can't replace. You can't, and you can't give to somebody. You can't teach somebody. Like, it's just in them.
That's exactly what you want. That's what you want in a host. That's what you want in someone who's looking for that quality in other people. What's kind of the average number of shows per week that someone on the Almost Famous staff is going out and doing?
I don't like to have any kind of system sitting. So we tell people when we hire them on, you at least need to work 2 nights a week, but we're looking for someone to work, at least 3 to 5 nights a week. And I'd say our average is about 3 to 4.
And are they at the same places? Like, are they doing karaoke at maybe just these two bars, or they've kind of got their spots, so they've got the regulars?
We love to build that relationship with the bar and their host. So that's pretty key for us. We like everybody to be at the same place, but we do some spots 7 nights a week. So like if we're doing a bar 7 nights a week, then sometimes, people will get jumbled around like, hey, can you switch my Wednesday out for my Thursday? Or, I'll do your Thursday if you do my Wednesday. But typically we like to keep them the same.
Yeah, 7 nights a week. That's intense.
Yeah. 7
in a
nights a
good
week,
way.
365 days a year. But we just kind of accidentally got in there one night, and it was like a wildfire. It's like one bar was like, whoa, what are you guys doing on Monday night that's so successful? And they said, can we do that on Tuesday night? And then
Yeah.
Tuesday night, and then the Monday night spot said, hey, you're down the street on Tuesday. Okay, then we want Wednesday. So then we're back. Now we're 2 nights at the first bar doing Mondays and Wednesdays, and the other bar we're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays.
We talk about this in the wedding world all the time, that, the brides and the grooms and the couples and stuff. Yeah, yes, they're your client. Yes. But really, the relationships and the real clientele is the vendors and the venues, like the houses that you work in that bring you back and refer you, and you're on the preferred vendors list. Those are the relationships. Those are the repeat customers. You've got like it's almost like being a club DJ where you've got a residency and you've got a spot. And it's not only that you want to entertain the crowd, but when you're a club DJ, it's that same mentality that what are you doing for the bar? What are you doing for the house? Because if you're bringing more bodies in that room and you're keeping them there longer, like you talked about before, the bar is like cha-ching. There are more drink sales, more snacks, more food. Keep them, and people coming in on off nights, so they're gonna love you.
That's exactly right. We start this Friday at a bar we've been doing for 2 years down there. We started on Thursdays, and then they wanted to add Saturdays. And now they just came to me and said, hey, our Fridays are really lacking. We have a DJ on Friday nights, and it's just not bringing in the crowd. But Saturdays are crushing. So we want to add karaoke on Friday night. And so we start that this Friday.
Those relationships are everything. I want to just explain to the listeners, because you and I, a year ago, I think it was last May, we got together and built a blueprint course together, the Karaoke Kickstart course.
Yep.
And it's, and I think what the outside world doesn't understand about that course, and what I would like them to understand, is that getting Carafun or getting a collection of MP3G files and playing music and having people sing into microphones makes you a KJ, makes you a karaoke jock. That's fine. But it's all these little innovations that Chad and his team have created over the years. This is the reason why they're getting all this midweek work. Some of the small details are like just the way you run wireless HDMI to your monitor screen for the singers, so that you can place that screen anywhere, and you put in a battery pack on it. Those like tiny details, like, and the TV that you bought, like the actual model of a TV and what you're looking for in that TV, and the size of the TV and the stand that you use, all those like little tiny technical details make it so that you walk into a bar and you can produce every time. And that's what was so eye-opening about the course that we built together. Can you share maybe one tip, like one thing that if you were talking to somebody out there that was looking to either get into karaoke or elevate their karaoke game, what's just a game changer thing that you could suggest?
So the game changer would just be different. Go to some of the other shows that are around your town. Check it out. You have all the tools, especially if you're a DJ. I mean, if you're watching this, you're most likely a DJ looking to add something on. The other night, I did something I've never done before, and I filled in Riverside. One of my hosts had a last minute thing, and I said, you know what? I'm not doing anything on Thursday night. I'll do it. So I went down there, and I had my gear, my DJ gear, because I just did a corporate event, in my truck. And I had a vertical fog machine that, the vertical fogger that shoots up light, and it kind of looks like a fire plume. I was like, you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to bring that in. I'm going to bring it in and just see what happens. People lost their minds. They couldn't believe that here's this karaoke show, and this guy, as they're singing this rock song, they got the fire, they got this smoke machine blowing up smoke, and they just feel like a rock star. And it was a whole different level. Did we just
Chad,
level up?
Got the level up.
Yes.
You got the level up.
That's it, man. That's it. Just be different. Don't be that stale. Karaoke, there's a very low bar for karaoke, unfortunately, and we're trying to raise that bar. And there's companies in San Diego that won't even mess with downtown because they know we got it on lock.
This makes me want to go to San Diego and just go out and sing some karaoke. I think we can make this happen.
You'd love it.
I think anyone in entertainment can learn this. And I think one of the things that was a big takeaway for me, not only about just how you execute a karaoke show, but the way that you MC and the way that you interact with people, it's exactly what you just talked about with that fog machine. You brought it because you just wanted to see what was happening because you're curious. First of all, that's awesome. But you personally, like just Chad, I know this about you. You're always looking for ways to make people feel important and feel excited. And when you make your singers feel like you care about them and that you're setting them up for success and that it's their moment, I mean, I have to believe it's almost like you're almost famous. Like we're putting you on stage. This is your moment, baby. Go. And I've seen you compliment singers. I've seen the way you set singers up. I think anyone who's an MC in any capacity could learn from Chad how to facilitate other people using the mic. A lot of times as DJs, we get stuck in the gear a lot. We get stuck in the I've got the Rev 7 or the this thing or the that thing, and it's these mashups. It's always about people. It's always about how you make people feel. And I would love for you to just give your opinion, because I already know this and I want you to deliver it. Your philosophy about gear and equipment for karaoke.
So yeah, if you follow me, then you know I drive some pretty interesting vehicles when it comes to not your average DJ mobile entertainment vehicles. In 2019, I bought a C7 Corvette, and I had a pretty decent trunk in it. I mean, compared to a van like I used to have, it has nothing, but enough to lay down a couple Evolve 50s and the tops, and yeah. So I wanted to really keep in mind that the people that I'm hiring are not going to have vans. They're not going to have trucks. And we aren't at that level to where I could just go get a fleet of vans for my company. Again, we're doing bars and restaurants. We're not doing huge production. So how can we scale this down to fit in pretty much any vehicle? When I started karaoke, I was driving a Toyota Celica. This is back before I even had my own company. And I had so many speakers and amps and CDs and all of this in the back that I literally drove to my gig with my chest in the steering wheel. And I didn't want that for my employees. I didn't want them carrying a bunch of equipment that, is going to make it difficult or even dangerous for them to get to and from their gigs. So I started thinking, how can we scale this down? Being that we work in bars and restaurants, most of the time the sound equipment is already provided, whether it's an in-house speaker system or whatever. So, okay, we don't need to worry about the speakers. And if we do, we'll figure out something that breaks down enough that it's not going to take up your whole car. Again, we're doing karaoke and stuff like that. We're not doing, you just need a microphone. You need to amplify people's voice in the background vocals, not anything crazy. We're not doing a big 150 person wedding. So I built the system to basically over the years break down into a carry-on suitcase. So in that carry-on suitcase, you can fit your mixer, you can fit your wireless microphones, all of your cables that you need to plug in everything, and basically zip it up and roll in with that in a backpack.
And it's impressive. I remember when you rolled up to film, I was like, that's all you got?
That's all I needed.
You're like, no, this is all I need. And I was like, oh man, that's impressive. It's again, the gear all works. The gear all works well. And you deliver an experience for people that they'll never forget with very scalable systems that are easy to, dominate San Diego with. And I think that's a huge lesson from this podcast is that, gear is important. It's the tools of what we do. But sometimes we think that we need a home run when all we need is a base hit. All we need is what is going to move the needle, what's going to move us to the next thing. We don't always have to hit for the fences because it might not be necessary to win the game. You know what I'm saying? That's my baseball analogy with my Savannah Bananas hat on right here. So that's right.
Especially doing bars and restaurants, like I said, you're doing this weekly. So you know what you need, you know what you don't need. Besides a few backup things that maybe keep in your trunk, power cables, this and that. I mean, you don't need to roll in, with a trailer or a huge van. I could grab my backpack and my suitcase right now, head to San Diego and be 100% confident that I could run any of our shows tonight.
That's some goals right there. Before we run out of time, I want you to quickly share with us. You acquired another entertainment company,
Mhm.
Diamond Entertainment, was it last year or 2 years ago? Talk to us about kind of what that company's bread and butter is and what kind of events you guys do.
Yeah, so I had always toyed with the idea of stepping into the wedding world. Because we do so much volume in business with Almost Famous, I was worried I might not be able to give it as much of my time as it needed. But we did jump in. It's been about a year now, so we went ahead and completed all last year's weddings that we bought with the company. The company came with a bunch of weddings, and the previous owner, was the DJ for a lot of those weddings. So as the new owner, I was like, okay, well, guess what? I'm your new DJ. So introducing myself to these couples that had already developed that trust and everything with the other owner was a bit of a challenge, but we didn't have much pushback. Besides one planner that tried to give us a little bit of trouble about, hey, you're switching it up on my clients. Other than that, everybody was very understanding, and we completed all of those weddings 100% successfully. I had a great time. I learned so many new skills that I was like, okay, now I understand. All these years going to conventions and these shows and hearing people talk about weddings, like, now I get it. I can kind of put myself on that level to where, okay, I understand. So yeah, that was the company, Diamond Entertainment. Weddings were great. It came with a pretty good group of DJs that were not W2 DJs, but more like subcontractor DJs. And so they handled theirs. I kind of figured out how to work with other DJs or wedding DJs about what they needed for the gigs, the information they needed. And we're going to keep rolling with it. We've already done a few this year, have quite a few more on the books that I've subbed out to those other DJs, and a few coming up for myself.
That's wild. I like that you're always staying curious and you're always pushing yourself to do more and to, explore what's next and just not stay stagnant, but to keep growing. I think that's very admirable.
I've heard a few people say that, if you're comfortable, you're too comfortable. Like you need to be uncomfortable sometimes to really get that level up. And I can't tell you how many times Nadia's come over and rubbed my shoulders and been like, you got this, you're a good DJ. And I'm like, I don't know, this bride, she doesn't want me to play any Bruno Mars, and she doesn't want any, Justin Timberlake. And I just don't know if I'm going to, she's, don't worry, you'll figure it out. Like you always do. And, I'll come out of that wedding a better DJ because I didn't play those artists, and I learned how to work that situation.
Yes. The skills that you want to have are really only possible when you've been put through tough situations. And speaking of always growing, how's your tortoise? Is your tortoise growing still? Does it grow?
Oh yeah. He's, I always say 150 pounds, but he was 150 pounds when I bought him, when I got him. So he's got to be bigger now. I haven't weighed him. I don't have a tortoise scale, but he's a big boy. He's, I tell people, I guess if you count their rings, or not rings, but their shell, they have these little squares on their shell, and you count them, you can kind of see how old they are. And he has 38, so we're the same age.
Hey,
Yeah.
you could probably, you're strong enough. You could pick him up and you could stand on the scale with him and then without him, right? You can figure out how much he weighs.
I'm going to need a bigger scale.
Like max scale. Dude, yeah, that's crazy. Someone told me one time, so if you look it up, you just go on Google, you can find famous people that have owned the same tortoise. I know Albert Einstein owned a tortoise that was also owned by, I can't remember. This can be something to Google. If you're listening, Google this because it's worth it. There's some weird stuff because tortoises live a long time.
They do.
And it'll be like one famous person will buy someone else's, some other famous person's tortoise, and they have these weird connections. Well, Chad, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really liked that this podcast was a little bit different than some of the other ones and kind of served up a new perspective. share with people how they can see your electric karaoke shows and your tortoise and your killer new truck.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, again, thanks for having me. You could definitely follow us at almost underscore famous underscore entertainment. I love underscores, so you're going to hear those in all of my Instagram plugs. I get hit up a lot of times too, like, who makes your digital flyers? That's all done in house. Veronica does a great job with that. So if you like those, let us know. We post daily of where we're going to be. And then, yeah, we post a lot from our shows. Our hosts will post shows, we'll share them. So, and then you're welcome to follow me as well. And that's Chad or DJ underscore Chad underscore Allen. And if you guys are in the Chicago area, come out and see me. I'm hosting Marquee next month. So
that's right. Get out to Marquee and meet Chad in person.
I'll be the show host, so you can find me all 3 days, and it'll be my birthday. So come up. Let's hang out afterwards too.
Fantastic. And guys, as always, we have free resources to help you grow at blueprintlearn.com/resources. Chad, it's been a pleasure. And everybody else, we'll see you on the next one.